The story opens at Saika Academy, an elite institution known for excelling in every field. Yuno transfers into the school but immediately feels overshadowed by the legacy of his mother, Seiburu, a legendary and multi-talented actress who once studied there. Struggling under her immense reputation, Yuno attempts to defend her honor during a confrontation, but embarrasses himself when he fails to land a punch, becoming the subject of ridicule. His humiliation is interrupted by three powerful and respected girls, Miwa, Nico, and Kazuki, known as the Other Three Royals, and serving as the school presidents. After discovering that Yuno enrolled in general education, they punish him for losing a bet by ordering him to clean the school grounds. To their surprise, Yuno completes the task with remarkable dedication, leaving a strong impression on them. The narrative then shifts to Yuno's past. Growing up in the shadow of his famous mother left him feeling inadequate and isolated. He recalls her final performance and a touching family dinner scene that deeply moved him. After she passes away from illness, Yuno resolves to honor her dream of building a loving family of his own. Yuno moves into the Grand Mikadono residence, where he is unexpectedly attacked by Nico after an awkward first encounter. Mr. Mikadono later explains that Yuno's mother had been his close friend and had asked him to look after her son. He announces that Yuno will be living with his daughters, the Mikadono sisters. Both Yuno and the sisters are stunned by the arrangement. The sisters initially resent Yuno's presence, and his attempt at introducing himself fails to ease the tension. However, he soon discovers that their home is shockingly messy, contrasting their polished royal image at school. Taking initiative, Yuno thoroughly cleans the entire house, once again impressing them. The following morning, Yuno observes the sisters' intense and disciplined routines. Nico's martial arts training, Kazuki's strict health regimen, and Miwa's carefully managed diet. Watching their dedication reminds him of his mother's own strict lifestyle, making him regret having misunderstood her efforts in the past. Before they leave, Yuno sincerely tells them, "Have a nice day." Though they pretend not to care, the simple gesture genuinely touches them, as it's the first time anyone has said that to them. The episode ends with Mr. Mikadono calling Yuno to inform him he will be away for work and asking Yuno to help his daughters with their upcoming challenges. Shocked by the responsibility, Yuno is left facing a new role in the Mikadono household, focusing on Yuno's growing determination to support the Mikadono sisters after their father personally entrusts him with their care. Remembering how people distanced themselves from him in the past due to his perceived lack of talent, Yuno resolves to ensure the sisters never feel isolated in the same way. He decides to start by strengthening their bond through shared meals. After grocery shopping, he prepares a homemade dinner in hopes of creating a warm, family-like atmosphere. The sisters react differently. Nico is initially startled to see Yuno at home, momentarily forgetting he now lives there. Though she insists she doesn't need anyone's help, she eventually tastes the food and is stunned by how delicious it is, reluctantly acknowledging his skill. Miwa also approaches with skepticism but quickly warms up to the meal. Her enjoyment sparks playful banter with Nico over manners and eating habits, something that quietly pleases Yuno as he sees signs of natural interaction forming between them. Kazuki, however, reacts very differently. As the eldest sister, she is visibly surprised to find her younger sisters enjoying Yuno's cooking. Despite his attempts to convince her, even explaining the nutritional value, she firmly refuses. She insists she doesn't trust a stranger's cooking and emphasizes her independence, noting that even professional chefs have failed to impress her. Her rejection deeply discourages Yuno. Realizing food alone won't bridge the gap, Yuno turns his attention to Kazuki's real struggle, her demanding lead role in an acting rehearsal. She is exhausted, overworked, and neglecting her health. Determined to help, Yuno visits her school only to be publicly dismissed and humiliated. He then seeks help from Nico and Miwa. Nico reacts aggressively, while Miwa initially remains aloof. However, Yuno manages to connect with Miwa by revealing that he too comes from a royal background, allowing them to bond over shared pressures and misunderstandings. Miwa then reveals that Kazuki secretly misses a special dish their mother once made, inspiring Yuno to recreate it. Despite Kazuki throwing him out of her room and continuing to reject his help, Yuno refuses to give up. He practices her acting lines tirelessly and keeps offering his support. Eventually, Kazuki notices his late-night dedication, mirroring her own relentless work ethic. Slowly, her perception of him changes. During a joint rehearsal, Kazuki experiences a breakthrough in her performance, deeply moved by Yuno's unwavering support. Overwhelmed with joy, he celebrates her success wholeheartedly. The episode concludes with a tender and slightly comedic moment. Kazuki, finally softening and overcoming her pride, tries to ask Yuno to cook the dish she longs for. But instead of naming it, she shyly lists all the vegetables she dislikes. Revealing a surprisingly childlike side and leaving Yuno both amused and confused, the episode begins with Yuno feeling happy seeing Nico, Miwa, and Kazuki eating dinner together, something rare in their household. After they leave for their separate activities, the house becomes quiet and Yuno feels lonely. Reflecting on his past and his late mother, he realizes he truly wants to build a warm, happy family with the sisters. Watching one of his mother's old family movies makes him emotional. When the sisters return, they find Yuno crying in front of the screen. Misunderstanding the situation, they assume he feels lonely and awkwardly offer him reassurance. However, Yuno honestly explains that he wants to grow closer to them and create a real family bond. A romantic scene from the movie plays at the wrong moment, causing the sisters to comically misinterpret his words and imagine themselves in wedding dresses. Things escalate further when Yuno casually asks for their birthdays to determine who is the oldest, which embarrasses and irritates them, prompting them to storm off. The next morning is filled with chaotic comedy. Nico, flustered and distracted by thoughts of Yuno's cooking, rushes out half-dressed when he shouts about forgetting to buy bread, embarrassing them both. Miwa walks in at the wrong moment and teases Nico. Later, Yuno accidentally brushes Miwa's hand, making her blush, and Kazuki also flusters when he thanks her sincerely for helping him reach something. The sisters end up in a playful but competitive scuffle. Confused by their constant bickering, Yuno suggests they should get along better, but they ignore him. While cleaning their messy room, he discovers an old photo of the three sisters smiling happily together. Wondering why they no longer share that closeness, he suspects one of them secretly wishes to relive those days. Determined, he decides to recreate that memory. The sisters later announce separate outside commitments: a performance, a tournament, and a competition. However, Yuno discovers that at least one of those excuses isn't true. He then reveals his plan. He has booked a 2-day stay and wants them to spend quality time together. He shows them a festival poster, the same one seen in the old photo, proving he carefully planned this outing. Although initially annoyed, the sisters gradually give in when Yuno mentions the festival's shrine, said to grant wishes and its delicious food. Kazuki agrees first and Miwa joins in, partly for social media content, making Yuno thrilled that his plan is working. They visit a yukata shop to prepare for the festival. Kazuki and Miwa look stunning in their outfits, and Yuno excitedly takes pictures. Nico, however, hesitates. She recalls a childhood memory where she wanted a dress but received jeans instead, leaving her self-conscious about appearing cute. Encouraged by Yuno, she chooses a pink yukata despite her sister's teasing. When Nico finally steps out wearing it, everyone is left speechless, and their loud reaction makes her blush deeply. Episode 4 begins at the lively Cherry Blossom Night Festival, where Yuno and the Mikadono sisters, Nico, Miwa, and Kazuki, immerse themselves in the colorful atmosphere. During the festival, Kazuki attracts significant attention, as many people recognize and admire her. However, the cheerful mood shifts when she accidentally injures her foot. Yuno quickly steps in to help. He gently bandages her injury and offers heartfelt reassurance, telling her that even someone who always acts like a prince deserves to be cared for and can embrace a softer, more vulnerable side. His words reveal his growing emotional understanding of the sisters. Determined to strengthen their bond further, Yuno challenges himself to a difficult lotus hopping game. His goal is to win a special group photo opportunity for the sisters. Despite repeated failures and exhaustion, he refuses to give up. Motivated by the thought of the sisters standing together, he finally succeeds on his last attempt. Just as things seem perfect, Heavy rain suddenly interrupts the festival. Yuno worries he may have lost the sisters in the crowd, but to his surprise, they come looking for him. They explain that since he brought them to the festival, they waited for him, a clear sign of their growing trust and reliance on him. A playful argument follows as they compete over whose umbrella he should share. Later, due to a booking mistake that leaves only 3 rooms available, Yuno unexpectedly ends up sharing space with the sisters. What could have been awkward instead becomes meaningful. They spend the night talking, reminiscing about their childhood, and reconnecting in a way they haven't in years. Exactly what Yuno had hoped to achieve. The episode concludes on a triumphant note as the sisters go on to win their respective tournaments and competitions. Seeing their success fills Yuno with pride and joy, reinforcing his belief that their bond is finally becoming stronger. Not just as housemates, but as a family. The episode opens with Yuno reflecting on how much closer Nico, Miwa, and Kazuki have become after the Cherry Blossom Festival. Touched by their progress, he decides to cook a special dinner to celebrate their growing bond. However, he's surprised to find them home early, along with their father, Mr. Mikadono. Mr. Mikadono openly disapproves of Yuno's influence. He insists that his daughter's success must come from talent and relentless hard work, not luck or emotional support. He harshly implies that there is no place in his home for someone talentless. To Yuno's shock, the sisters immediately defend him. They acknowledge how much he has supported them and how his presence has positively affected their lives. In an unexpectedly bold moment, they collectively declare how compatible they are with him, leaving Yuno blushing and overwhelmed. After this confrontation, however, the sisters withdraw and bury themselves in work. The atmosphere in the house grows cold and distant again. Yuno realizes their extreme dedication stems from their father's strict expectations and pressure. Determined not to lose their connection, Yuno secretly prepares personalized lunches for each sister. When they discover his thoughtful gesture, they are deeply moved. The warmth he brings slowly returns to the household. Recognizing his importance, Kazuki proposes that Yuno can continue living with them, as long as he supports their professional lives, especially through cooking and daily care. Yuno happily agrees, seeing them not just as housemates, but as family. Later, while washing dishes with Kazuki, an accident causes Yuno to slip, and they accidentally share a long, unexpected kiss. The moment leaves both flustered, but Kazuki is especially shaken. She struggles to focus during rehearsals, clearly affected by what happened. Although Yuno awkwardly tries to brush the kiss off as an accident, Kazuki can't ignore her feelings. The episode ends on a dramatic note when Kazuki suddenly asks Yuno out on a date for Sunday, leaving him completely stunned. The episode opens with Kazuki surprising Yuno by asking him on a date, which catches him off guard. Her sisters Mavi and Nico happen to overhear and are instantly distressed. Kazuki quickly clarifies that the date is actually a rehearsal for an upcoming performance in which she will play a female lead role for the first time. Having only ever portrayed male characters, she struggles with expressing feminine emotions and gestures. Yuno wholeheartedly agrees to help her, dedicating his entire Sunday to her practice. The next day, Nico grows suspicious of Yuno's plans, trying to confirm what he intends to do, and his evasive responses heighten her concern. During dinner, Kazuki and Yuno subtly discuss the upcoming rehearsal, which only serves to frustrate Mivi and Nico further. On the day of the date, Kazuki arrives looking stunning, leaving Yuno speechless and causing Mivi and Nico, who are secretly following them, to react in shock. Their first stop is an aquarium, where Kazuki tries to act more feminine, but instinctively protects Yuno from splashing water, leading passersby to assume she is his composed girlfriend. Their attempts at ordinary date activities like carrying a bag or ordering food result in humorous mishaps, which Mivi and Nico find amusingly cringeworthy. Later, while Yuno is briefly away, a talent scout approaches Kazuki. Yuno returns and improvises a story, claiming they are a couple and soon to be married, to deter the scout. Kazuki blushes intensely at his bold declaration. They then watch a romance movie, which Kazuki initially avoided because the lead actress, her former senior, also transitioned from male to female roles. Kazuki feels anxious about her performance, and is disheartened by critics' comments labeling her senior's acting as uncute. Yuno worries he may have demotivated her by showing the movie, but reassures her. Their final activity is a Ferris wheel ride. Despite his fear of heights, Yuno insists on going to support Kazuki, encouraging her to become the best heroine. Inside, Kazuki reflects on her past, her career, and the pressure of living up to the Mikadono name. Yuno comforts her, showing photos from their day and explaining that even her failures are beautiful. Motivated, Kazuki confidently declares that her audition will not be a failure. As they leave, Kazuki feels empowered to take risks, knowing that those who care for her will support her regardless of the outcome. She approaches Yuno closely, making both him and the secretly watching sisters think she might kiss him again. Instead, she simply reminds him that their first kiss was meaningful and unforgettable. The episode concludes with Yuno returning home, where Mavi and Nico finally address him by name, marking a heartwarming moment that emphasizes their growing sense of family. The episode begins with Nico walking to school with Yuno, which immediately sparks jealousy in Kazuki and Miwa. On the way, Nico impresses Yuno by effortlessly subduing a purse thief, though she injures herself slightly in the process. Soon after, Tatsumi, Nico's former senpai from Ibiyama High School, appears. His presence and past connection with Nico make Yuno visibly jealous. Tatsumi challenges Nico to a match and easily defeats her despite holding back. When he acts aggressively, Yuno steps in to protect Nico, confronting him directly. Nico then reveals that Tatsumi is actually her hero, someone who once saved her in the past. Tatsumi invites her to transfer to Ibiyama High School, which has recently become co-ed, promising better training and subtly criticizing her current teammates as weak. His words create doubt and anxiety among Yuno and Nico's friends. Later, Yuno admits he doesn't want Nico to leave. Although she acknowledges Ibiyama's advantages, she ultimately confesses that she wants to stay with everyone. Her teammates passionately ask her not to go, and even Kazuki and Miwa awkwardly offer to share their personal belongings, their own way of expressing how much they value her. While bathing, Nico blushes as she reflects on her growing feelings for Yuno, and firmly decides not to transfer. She informs Tatsumi of her decision, which angers him. He insists her talent is being wasted and pressures her again. At that moment, Yuno steps forward and boldly challenges Tatsumi. He declares that Nico belongs with her team and that they all want her to stay. His passionate defense deeply moves Nico. Tatsumi agrees to a decisive match at the end of the week, with Nico's school choice on the line. Upon learning Yuno is the son of Saburo, he becomes even more intrigued. Despite Nico's concern for Yuno's safety, he remains determined to fight. Nico begins training Yuno, though he struggles heavily. He openly admits he lacks talent, but insists his determination to win for her is stronger than anything else. In a surprising twist, Yuno adds a strange rule to the upcoming fight. Neither side can use their dominant hand or foot. The episode ends with a blush-filled moment between Nico and Yuno during training, observed by others, further deepening the romantic tension. The episode begins with Kazuki and Miwa deciding to cook for Yuno, wearing aprons just like him. Although their first attempts are disastrous, Yuno warmly encourages them, saying that effort matters more than perfection. Together, they successfully prepare Nico's favorite dish, earning her praise and creating a heartwarming family moment. When Yuno reveals his hand is injured from overtraining, Miwa and Kazuki compete to feed him, making Nico visibly jealous. Meanwhile, 2 days before the match, Tatsumi confronts Nico and accuses her of being weak and controlled by others. During training, Nico confesses to Yuno that she struggles with two sides of herself, one obedient and one independent, and has been suppressing her true feelings. Yuno reassures her that he sees her real self and encourages her to embrace it. Deeply moved, Nico begins to accept who she truly is. On the day of the fight, Yuno surprises everyone by announcing that both he and Nico will face Tatsumi. He explains that if Nico wins, Tatsumi will have no reason to recruit her. Yuno fights first but is quickly defeated, becoming the subject of laughter. However, his effort inspires Nico. When Nico steps into the ring, she fights fiercely but struggles at first. As she begins to lose confidence, Yuno appears in a ridiculous clown outfit to cheer her up, reminding her of his unwavering support. Regaining her determination, Nico embraces both sides of herself and unleashes a completely new fighting style. She overwhelms Tatsumi with unexpected speed and power, landing decisive blows that shock the crowd. Kazuki and Miwa arrive just in time to witness her final kick, which knocks Tatsumi down. The crowd erupts in celebration as Nico secures her victory and confirms she will stay at Saika Academy. Overcome with emotion, Nico breaks into tears and Yuno gently comforts her. In a surprising and heartfelt moment, she hugs him tightly, ending the episode on an emotional and romantic note. The episode opens with the aftermath of Nico's victory over Tatsumi. Although she wins, Tatsumi later reveals that he intentionally held back, and that Yuno had cleverly prevented him from using a decisive kick. In an emotional twist, Tatsumi confesses that he has liked Nico ever since she first joined the dojo, adding unexpected romantic tension to the story. To celebrate Nico's win, the sisters throw her a surprise party. During the celebration, Yuno suggests they all visit a theme park together. Soon after, Mr. Mikadono calls. Yuno boldly answers and firmly tells him that the girls deserve a break from constant pressure. Impressed by Nico's performance, their father agrees and gives permission for the outing. At the theme park, the sisters secretly compete to make Yuno blush. Kazuki takes him into a haunted house, planning to act scared so he'll protect her, but instead she ends up frightening the ghost, while Yuno becomes the one who panics. Miwa tries to act weak after a roller coaster ride to gain his sympathy, but Yuno suffers from motion sickness, forcing her to take care of him instead. Nico attempts to create a romantic moment by falling toward Yuno during a spinning ride, but he nearly falls off, and she has to save him. Despite all their efforts, Yuno doesn't blush, leaving the sisters disappointed. However, at the end of the day, Nico gives him a photo of the four of them as a souvenir, and sincerely thanks him for bringing them together. Touched by her genuine gratitude, Yuno finally blushes, shocking all three sisters. The episode ends with the four happily heading home, their bond stronger than ever. The episode begins with Nico and Kazuki feeling energized after their theme park trip. When Yuno wishes them good luck, both girls blush in perfect sync. Shortly after, Yuno realizes Miwa forgot her lunch before her important shogi tournament, and rushes to deliver it. On the way, he meets Sakura, a clumsy but intense girl who nearly falls into a ditch while reading. Yuno saves her, but she hilariously misinterprets his kindness as romantic interest. When he offers her a lollipop for iron, she becomes convinced he's strangely similar to her. At the tournament, Yuno learns Miwa is in a tough match. However, when she licks her lips, a sign of her strategic confidence, she unleashes a decisive move and wins. She's surprised to see Yuno there and deeply touched that he brought her forgotten lunch. Sakura suddenly appears and jokingly accuses Miwa of cheating because of the secret food in her lunch. A flashback reveals Sakura has lost over 100 matches to Miwa, but remains determined to surpass her rival. Yuno senses that Sakura may eventually become a true threat. Later, Sakura's terrible cooking leads to another comedic moment, when Yuno catches her as she nearly falls again, making Miwa visibly jealous. Sakura then slaps Yuno out of embarrassment, even though he helped her. Before their next big match, Yuno, Nico, and Kazuki visit a shrine to pray for Miwa's victory, only to find Sakura there doing the same. Learning they support Miwa, Sakura boldly declares them her rivals. The video starts a week after Miwa's second match, which she loses, making everyone wonder why she lost 2 matches in a row. Yu arrives to take Miwa home, and Sakuraba mocks Miwa, but Yu misinterprets her words as concern. Yu returns home and finds Nico and Kazuki worried because Miwa had an outburst and left. Yu goes out in the rain to find Miwa. He eventually finds her at a cat cafe where she confesses that she never truly enjoyed shogi and only played to please her family. Yu comforts her and takes her to a mall to buy ingredients to bake gifts for her sisters. They bake the gifts together, and Yu shares his backstory about learning to cook to make his mother happy. Miwa shows affection for Yu by kissing a cake she made in his likeness. They return home, Miwa takes responsibility for being late, and the sisters love their gifts. The episode ends with Miwa ready for the next step in her journey, where Miwa is about to play her third match, with her family offering support. Miwa reflects on the high expectations placed upon her. The scene shifts to Sakura, her opponent, who feels nervous facing Miwa's powerful aura. A flashback shows Sakura's childhood, where she struggled to find something she was good at until her grandpa introduced her to shogi. He teaches her about the pawn piece, explaining its steady forward movement and how it can gain power by reaching the opponent's side, which deeply inspires Sakura. Sakura quickly becomes skilled at shogi, even defeating her grandpa, and starts winning tournaments. However, she is decisively defeated by Miwa, a loss that fuels her determination to surpass her. A past interaction shows Miwa standing up for Sakura against bullies and encouraging her to speak up for herself. Inspired, Sakura declares Miwa her rival and vows to improve until she can defeat her. The story returns to the present with the highly anticipated final match between Miwa and Sakura. Everyone, including Miwa's sisters and Yu, eagerly waits for the result. Miwa ultimately wins the match and successfully defends her title. Overwhelmed with emotion, she hugs Yu and kisses him on the forehead, calling it a foreigner's greeting to calm her surprised sisters, though they suspect she's lying. Yu, however, believes her. Miwa then playfully greets her sisters with kisses as well, while Yu happily takes pictures. Meanwhile, Sakura watches from a distance and renews her promise to one day defeat Miwa, describing herself as a pawn that will keep moving forward. The episode ends with the family enjoying their time together, along with a brief teaser hinting that Sakura will move in with them in the next season.